hate and bile and to cause mass panics and be like, trans people are trying to assassinate us, the trans day of revenge is coming, did you know cis people, trans people own firearms, they're armed and ready and dangerous, they're gonna kill us all, we have to do something about these trans people. And now it's switched to another thing that we love talking about: white racism. That meme the right always posts, where it's like one chip gets taken out of the NPC and then the other chip like goes in, that they only use because they don't understand how news cycles work, by the way. But that's them when it comes to things they want to be outraged about. It's like trans panic. All right, that one's up. Take out trans panic, put in white racism. If you haven't been following this one, Steven Crowder is trying desperately to get you all to notice him. He's tweeting about this a lot. He's making a lot of noise. And as soon as I saw him tweeting about this, that he in fact had the first, he's breaking this story. He's not often the one who breaks the story. He's the one who just twists it into his own weird, perverse narrative. But in this case, Steven Crowder, breaking news, apparently has a copy of the Nashville shooters' manifesto, the one that every right-winger was so desperate to get a copy of. He himself has, and it's validated as far as Steven Crowder says this is an authentic piece. It could be. I'm not here to report on the fact that it could be fake or it could not be. We just don't know if it's validated. As of this time, it hasn't been. Absolutely a content warning, but don't worry, I won't be talking about I won't be giving the shooter's name or releasing the manifesto itself, as both have been shown to inspire other mass shooters. But Steven Crowder doesn't care about that. None of them do. None of them care about mass shooting. You know why they care so much about this one specifically? They care about this one specifically because the shooter, in this case, was trans. The shooter is a trans man. It is, once again, a white male shooter who did a mass shooting event of a school. But they felt, every single one of them, from Steven Crowder to Tim Pool to Matt Walsh, all of them were screaming and making videos, and you can go watch them because there's so many videos on this topic. This was all they were obsessed with, that this had something to potentially do with the fact that they were trans, and that the manifesto would reveal that. And that's why they never released the manifesto. I'm sure you all remember that over and over and over. It's like, why won't they release the manifesto? Why won't they release the manifesto? Well, the police department ended up making a statement about that, saying that the so-called manifesto isn't actually a manifesto at all, that they had found what seemed to be journal entries, and those journal entries do not have a strict political ideology. It's more like tons of rambling rants in them. That's what the official statement had been from the police. However, Steven Crowder has gotten, apparently, according to him, it's been verified. Louderrecorder.com is the verification source in this regard. But either way, could turn out to be completely true. Has revealed the manifesto, some of the pages, select pages, and now the narrative has switched. It is no longer because of trans people or trans ideology. That's not the reason. It was anti-white racism all along. Haha, you see. Got you all. All of you anti-white or pro-white racists, I guess, out there. Yeah, all of you people who think it's okay for this to happen because you hate white people. All those people. Well, look at this. This was a mass shooting where the people were specifically targeted because they were white. And his evidence is the use of a slur. It is, I can't say on Twitch, it is a banned word. It is a use of the C slur for white people is present in the alleged manifesto, in the pages there. There's other slurs too, though. And the most frequent slur that is used in the pages he's released is the F slur. The F slur, calling the potential victims the F slur over and over and over again. Steven Crowder, right-wingers pivot to white privilege argument after Nashville shooter manifesto doesn't discuss gender. What? And if you're like, well, they didn't talk about it, yes, they did. If you were to add words, say in like the YouTube search, Nashville shooter was trans, Tim Pool. Nashville shooter is trans, targeted Christians. That was the original narrative, that this was a trans shooter who was targeting Christians or cis people, you know? Trans groups say Nashville shooter is a, quote, martyr. Martyr. Yes. You see, trans people have chosen this as their martyr, and that's why they won't reveal the manifesto, because if the manifesto came out, it would be distinctly revealed that this shooter did a mass shooting specifically because they were trans or because of trans ideology or gender ideology or any of the fancy words that we like to say to make it sound as if we have any fucking idea what we're talking about. Very suspicious update on Nashville Manifesto, including bizarre coded messages that may be written on the body. Police now refusing to release the Nashville Manifesto. What is going on here? Trans ban reporting on Trans Day of Vengeance. That was supposed to happen. Trans Day of Vengeance shut down. It takes a bizarre turn, including the Trans Day of Vengeance apparently was they all started getting afraid that trans people were going to become mass shooters, even though the vast majority of trans people are not mass shooters and the vast majority of mass shooters are cis people. And so, yeah, statistically, it turns out if you look at the amount of mass shootings that have happened in the United States and you look at the percentage of trans people that there are, that you are statistically less of a mass shooter if you are trans. Yes, I know. It's the science is shocking on this one too. Live updates on Nashville. Nashville copycat monster busted. They were refusing to release the manifesto. Pressure from leftists claim dire consequences. They're coming after us. The leftists are coming after us. Now, if we go to Steven Crowder's page, Steven Crowder is very proud. Okay, let's go back to 7 months ago. Nashville shooting. We have updates. Was it a hate crime? By
the way, just passed an education bill, school vouchers we're fans of, and we'll be talking about John Leguizamo TikTok. But before we move on, my question to you for today is two things. First off, what's your take on the Nashville shooter potentially swapping shoes? This is going out there, and it could be a complete conspiracy,
right?
Or do you think that it does raise some questions, and the fact that it's not being acknowledged by anybody? That's one of those things. That's where people start putting on their tinfoil hats because there's no transparency. Also, look, I'm going to take an unpopular stance today, but just listen to me. This was not a hate crime, Nashville. I don't want to use the left's language. It's terrorism. Terrorism is enough. Hate crime, a crime, terrorism, murder does not need a footnote. So let's not start using the language of the left. That's not going to turn out how you want it to. Comment below. All right, Gerald A., how are you, Mr. CEO?
Oh, right. Because again, the narrative was targeting Christians. That's what it was. This was a targeting specifically of Christians. Yes. It's changed. It's evolved. And that doesn't matter to any of them, though. Right? It's like they're just going to jump to the next thing. Okay, well, here's another thing we're mad at. In March 2023, a trans man shot and killed 6 people at a school in Nashville, Tennessee. In the wake of the shooting, police obtained a manifesto of the shooter, which was kept unreleased as authorities investigated. Because of the gender identity of the shooter, a number of conservatives used the incident to push claims of a trans mass shooting pandemic, wherein an armed trans community was hunting down cisgender people who refused to accept their gender identities. By the way, even though they're completely changing their narrative in real time, and now they're going to anti-white racism, and you see them all posting about that, just like clockwork, of course, Ian Miles Chong is coming out, oh, we told you this was anti-white racism. Steven Crowder's pushing it. Matt Walsh is running with the whole thing. I'm sure he's probably got a video up already about this very topic. Don't let them just continue to lie, to spew hate and bile, and to cause mass panics and be like, trans people are trying to assassinate us. The trans day of revenge is coming. Did you know cis people, trans people own firearms? They're armed and ready and dangerous. They're going to kill us all. We have to do something about these trans people. And now it's switched to another thing that we love talking about. White racism, when people are very, very racist towards white people. And now, because of the use of the C word in the document that Steven Crowder is releasing, they're completely changing their narrative in real time. Like I said, I just showed you, all the videos are still up. Their videos haven't been taken down, but every single fucking, bigot, pundit, anti-LGBTQ plus transphobe who makes a living off this, who gets fucking paid handsomely to go after marginalized communities, all of them, right away. Oh, sorry. It's like that meme the right always posts, where it's like one chip gets taken out of the NPC and then the other chip like goes in that they only use because they don't understand how news cycles work, by the way. But that's them when it comes to things they want to be outraged about. It's like trans panic. All right, that one's take out trans panic, put in white racism. All right, white racism activated, and then boom, now they're all doing the exact same thing. All right, sweet, we have new shit to talk about. Steven Crowder has given us a new little gift. Let's all talk about how this anti-white racism, where again, I will remind you, the F slur is used like towards the very people that they're claiming is anti-white racism. Those same people are being called the F slur more times than they were called the C word in the same manifesto. Does that mean that this was a anti-LGBTQ plus hate crime committed by a LGBTQ plus person? Does that what this means? Or is it like the police said, not able to determine a single political narrative or political ideology that would claim to understand or denote a motivation behind the shooting in terms of what they are trying to point towards politically? But they won't do that. got the new one. Yep. Trans panic goes right to fucking anti-white racism. We got the next one, and engage. More shit. Blogger Steven Crowder released 3 pages of what he says was the Trans Shooters Manifesto on his live stream. While it's not the full manifesto, according to Crowder, there were many, many more pages. Nothing in it discusses the shooter's transition or gender identity. Oh, could you not find any of that? Could you not find that? Because if you had found that, oh wow, yeah, I'm guessing you probably would have published it, because again, it would validate all of the transphobic shit you had been saying earlier. But it turns out that was just transphobic conspiracy theories. Again, promoted on the algorithm by the good old YouTube, and you got paid handsomely, as did Matt Walsh, as did every other person who fucking publishes this shit. And now, even though you have proof that you yourself are putting out, I should add, like Steven Crowder himself is the one publishing the proof in the opposite direction, he's now like, oh yeah, so we told you we were right. It was a white racist all along who hated white people. That's what we were talking about. We said it was a hate crime, remember? No, worse than a hate crime. It was terrorism. We meant, well, we did say Christians based on trans people going after Christianity, but what we meant was anti-white racists who hate white people and call them the C word. Clearly had already invested so much time and energy into the story that already they know that their fans are ravenous for more of this kind of content, except now it's like, oh shit, yeah, I guess we can't use the whole, well, I don't want to say that we lied to you, that there was this mass panic event that we were trying to curate that was actually going to result in a lot of real world violence towards a marginalized community. I don't want to do that. I don't want to say that we were just causing a mass panic for fucking money. That would be kind of wild, wouldn't it? And the fact that we just got away with it, and even though that we're publishing our own fucking proof that disproves our own theories, that was kind of fucked up for us to do. All right, this person hated white folk. This was a anti-white racist. This shit. They lie to your face. They profit from it. They completely lied. They did a mass panic event. They then published their own evidence that proves that they were wrong, and they switched the story because this one works better. It's just right, boom, just like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, this is a white hating person who committed the mass shooting. He was a white racist. He was a white racist. Oh sorry, I guess I'm using the correct pronouns there. That would be wrong. In the pages Crowder released, there was also a timeline of the day the shooter wrote out, which included filmed video. While it's unclear if a video was filmed, now a number of right-wingers online are demanding the video gets released. Because it's fucking bigoted clown shoes. This whole thing is a bigoted circus for clicks from outrage fucking merchants. All of the outrage merchants, by the way, who know they're lying, clearly, who don't care. They don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter. You just move on to the next thing that they know that will make them a lot of money, which is, oh yes, well, let's talk about the white racist mass shooter who was, well, okay, we don't mention the mass shooter was white, but anyways, a mass shooting event of white people perpetrated by someone who used the C word. Here we are, and boom, we have a new monster of the month. You know, that's exactly what they do.
And seem determined to convert the U.S. into a theocracy run by people who will thump you with the Bible but haven't read much of it. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, where has that happened? Like, what is he talking about? Where have Republicans done anything that could be remotely compared to the Inquisition? Now, of course, the Inquisition gets a bad rap anyway, but that's...
Oh man, he comes from a long line of witch burners and torturers, you know?
It's a topic for a different day. But in what way is Mike Johnson ushering in a theocracy? Is he proposing making church attendance compulsory? Has he tried to pass a law forbidding the practice of non-Christian religions? Has he burned any atheists at the stake recently? As far as I know, the answer is no on all counts.
Okay, so I probably don't need to go into too much detail about the Inquisition being fucked up, actually. Yeah, really fucked up, and not something that human beings should ever repeat, you know? I think, you know, the mass torture of individuals on the basis of religion, and we're talking some of the most cruel and painful torture that any human being has ever crafted. Oh boy, they were creative in one category, that's for sure. They can't tell you a lot about what heaven was actually going to be like, you know? Like, oh, so what am I going to experience in heaven? Like, what's the day-to-day? Like, what do I do? You wake up, and it's like, oh, well, you will be in the glory and light of God 24/7. Cool. Like, do I get to chat, hang out with other people? You know, like, is there food? Do we eat? It's like, you will need nothing. You will be wanting of nothing, but for the light of God will be upon you at all times. Cool. I know. I'm all for that light of God. That sounds great. You know, the light of God sounds fun and warm and shit. I'm just wondering, do like baths? Do we get baths? Do we get or anything? You know that. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This show is produced by amazing people like you, and if you want to help us out, please consider donating over at patreon.com/theserfs. The show is made possible thanks to Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Lamidia Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Pappy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Sir Nickus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demo, Tech Tink, Trevbot EXE, Words Greenwood, and not to mention all of the amazing and fabulous people you now see before you.